There are moments that test a person's composure. On that stage, Ivanka Trump mocked Jasmine Crockett, attempting to frame her as an outsider. The room felt tense, uncertain, yet Jasmine didn't raise her voice or lose her calm. Instead, she asked one simple question, a question that silenced the entire room. The studio buzzed with anticipation. Bright lights streamed from above, reflecting off the polished desk at the center of the stage. Cameras moved smoothly across the crowd, capturing eager faces in the live audience. People leaned forward in their seats, whispering quietly, waiting for the moment when the real exchange would begin. On one side of the table sat Ivanka Trump, poised, graceful, her smile perfectly measured. She carried herself with the ease of someone long familiar with the spotlight. Dressed sharply, she embodied confidence and control. Across from her was Jasmine Crockett, a rising political figure, outspoken and determined. Her demeanor was calm but direct. She didn't wear the polished smile. Instead, her expression was steady, her eyes focused, her hands resting firmly before her. She knew the setting was not built in her favor, but she also knew exactly why she was there. Between them, the host sat nervously, shuffling his notes. His wide smile seemed just a bit forced, as though he could already sense the tension brewing beneath the surface. He began gently, trying to ease into the discussion. Ladies, thank you for joining us tonight. We'll talk about some major challenges facing the country, but first, how's your week been? The audience chuckled softly. It was polite small talk meant to break the ice. Ivanka nodded and offered a brief, well-practiced response about balancing family life and staying grounded. The kind of answer she'd given many times before. Jasmine responded with a warmer tone, mentioning her community work and how platforms like this can amplify real voices. Her sincerity drew nods and light applause from the crowd. For a moment, the atmosphere felt calm. Two women from different worlds, sharing a stage under bright studio lights. But beneath that calm, the tension was unmistakable. This wasn't just a talk show. It wasn't just another polite exchange of opinions. For Ivanka, this was a moment to reaffirm her place, a reminder of her family's influence and poise. For Jasmine, it was a chance to challenge that privilege, to represent those who rarely get a seat at the table. The audience didn't yet realize it, but they were witnessing a clash that wouldn't end with smiles and courtesy. The host moved to the next topic. Let's start broad, he said. What do you believe is the most urgent issue facing Americans today? Ivanka spoke first. Her tone was calm and deliberate, each word carefully chosen. She spoke of stability, tradition, and leadership. Every sentence was refined, every pause calculated, a performance shaped for the cameras. Then came Jasmine's turn. Her voice carried conviction. She didn't dress her words in polish. She spoke of fairness, opportunity, and the countless unheard voices in everyday America. She didn't look into the cameras. She looked at Ivanka, and then at the audience, reminding them that this wasn't theater. This was real. The contrast was clear. On one side, polished control. On the other, genuine passion. The energy in the room shifted. The audience felt it. So did the host. The air grew charged. Something was about to unfold. The pleasantries were gone. The calm was cracking. What started as polite conversation was turning into a clash of ideals, and soon, it wouldn't just be political. It would be personal. The turning point came quickly. The practiced smiles and light laughter vanished the moment Ivanka Trump leaned forward. Her posture changed, no longer relaxed but pointed. Her eyes narrowed, her lips curved into a smile that carried calculation, not warmth. The host was mid-sentence, still clutching his cue cards, when Ivanka cut in. Her voice, once soft and composed, now carried a sharp edge. The warmth was gone, replaced by something far more deliberate. The cutting exchange continues. Then, with a calm yet unmistakably condescending tone, she delivers the line that chills the room. Why don't you first go to Africa and try to understand things there? Instant silence. Every sound in the studio fades. The audience freezes, unsure if they heard her correctly. A few glance at each other, eyes wide, lips parted. The host's pen slips from his hand, clattering onto the desk. It's not advice, not a polite redirection. It's a dismissal, a mocking comment that sidelines Jasmine, making her seem like an outsider who doesn't belong. Everyone feels it. This isn't about Africa. It's about control. About making Jasmine feel small before she can even speak. Ivanka's words hang in the air like a heavy curtain. The audience stirs uneasily. Some frown, others exhale sharply, struggling to process what just happened. The host looks at Ivanka, his usual smile faltering, caught between keeping the show going and addressing the clear line she's crossed. His lips part to say something, but nothing comes out. Ivanka leans back, her expression composed, as though she hasn't just poured gasoline on the set. Her confidence grows in the silence, believing her words have gone unchallenged. But then, the camera turns to Jasmine Crockett. She doesn't flinch. She doesn't roll her eyes or move in her seat. She sits still, calm, focused, her gaze fixed on Ivanka, as if measuring her. And now that silence Ivanka thought she owned, it belongs to Jasmine. The audience feels the shift. The host senses it. For the first time, Ivanka loses the room. Everyone waits, quietly, tensely, for Jasmine's response. They know this isn't just another political exchange. It's deeper, touching on identity, belonging, and respect. The tension thickens. Cameras zoom closer, capturing Jasmine's steady composure and Ivanka's tight smile. The air is charged. Ivanka wanted to diminish Jasmine, to shake her confidence. Instead, she's created the stage for something far stronger, a comeback that will leave the room stunned. Before even speaking, Jasmine already holds the power. The studio is still. Ivanka's words linger, sharp and heavy, like smoke after a sudden blaze. The crowd shifts uneasily, waiting for Jasmine to respond. But she doesn't rush. She doesn't react with anger or defense. She remains still, eyes locked on Ivanka, her face unreadable. The silence stretches so long, some in the audience start wondering, is she shaken? Is she searching for words? The cameras zoom in closer. Jasmine's steady breathing, her calm gaze, the faint tilt of her head. Then she leans forward slightly, her voice slices through the silence, controlled, deliberate, and precise. So tell me, Ivanka, is Donald Trump your father or your husband? The room explodes in gasps. Hands cover mouths, eyes widen. Whispered reactions ripple across the audience. The host blinks, unsure whether to interrupt or let it play out. Ivanka's polished smile tightens, faltering for a fraction of a second. But Jasmine isn't done. She pauses, letting the first line settle, then adds, because this constant shade just feels misplaced. Now, the silence that follows isn't Ivanka's, it's Jasmine's. Everyone knows what she's referring to. They've seen the old clips. They've read the interviews. They remember the uncomfortable remarks Donald Trump once made about his daughter. Jasmine's words bring those shadows back into the spotlight, live, on camera, without shouting, without insults, just a single, razor-sharp question. Ivanka shifts in her seat, forcing a laugh to cover the discomfort, but the crack in her confidence is visible. Everyone sees it, the audience, the cameras, and Jasmine herself. In that moment, the power dynamic flips. What was meant to embarrass Jasmine instead empowers her. What was meant to diminish her now elevates her. The host senses it too. He glances between them, his notes forgotten. The show is no longer under his control. And the audience knows it, because Jasmine Crockett now owns the room. They can't look away. The audience leans forward, eyes locked on Jasmine, waiting to see if she'll push further. But she doesn't have to. Her words have already shifted the energy in the room. In less than 14 seconds, she's turned the entire moment around. The tension is no longer on her, it's on Ivanka. Each passing second makes Ivanka's silence feel heavier, her attempt to recover weaker. Jasmine leans back in her chair, composed, as if nothing unusual just occurred. But everyone watching knows better. They've just witnessed a pivotal moment. One where the underdog took the spotlight and refused to give it up. With a single sharp question, Jasmine Crockett proved she wasn't just another guest on a talk show. She was the voice the room couldn't ignore. The silence after her comeback is thick. Cameras zoom in on Ivanka Trump, and for the first time that evening, she's no longer in control. Her confident smile falters, her polished look slips, and her eyes shift toward the audience, searching for support that isn't there anymore. The crowd's focus has moved. their attention, their energy. It's with Jasmine now. You can feel it in the way people lean in the quiet murmurs spreading across the studio. They're not watching Ivanka lead the discussion anymore. They're watching her try to hold on to it. Ivanka lets out a forced laugh, the kind that tries to mask discomfort. Straightening her posture, she lifts her chin and attempts to regain her earlier authority. "Look," she begins, her tone calm but uncertain. "All I'm saying is that maybe Jasmine should go to Africa to really understand things better." The words sound hollow. What once felt pointed now feels like an echo, a weak attempt to redirect attention from the question she avoided. The audience notices. Murmurs ripple again, this time not in surprise but disbelief. Some shake their heads, others fold their arms, unimpressed. The tone of the room has changed completely. Ivanka's momentum is gone. Each new word only deepens the silence that follows. Jasmine's question, "Is he your father or your husband?" didn't just hit in the moment. It carried history. It brought back years of uncomfortable public remarks from Donald Trump that people haven't forgotten. They remember his 2006 appearance on The View, when he joked about dating Ivanka if she weren't his daughter. They remember interviews where he praised her looks in ways that raised eyebrows. They recall radio shows where he allowed others to speak about her in ways no father typically would. Even lighthearted talk show moments, like when he mentioned kissing her as often as possible, only fueled the speculation. All of that unspoken tension now sits squarely at the center of the stage, and Jasmine is the one who placed it there. Ivanka tries to pivot, steering the discussion toward policy and broader themes, anything to move the room to safer ground. But it's too late. The tension isn't about politics anymore. It's about power, presence, and perception. Each attempt to redirect feels like fighting against a current too strong to overcome. Jasmine has shifted the balance, and Ivanka is caught in it. The host clears his throat, visibly uneasy, and tries to regain control. He asks a question about unity and leadership, hoping to ease the moment. But even his words sound faint against the weight of what's just happened. Everyone in the room knows the shift has already occurred. Jasmine Crockett now sits calm and composed, almost serene. Ivanka Trump, usually the image of confidence, is defensive, and the audience senses it. They can see the dynamic playing out in real time, one decisive remark unraveling a carefully managed image. It doesn't matter what Ivanka says next. What people will remember is this, when her control slipped and Jasmine claimed the room. All because of one question she never saw coming. The air in the studio remains heavy. Ivanka's usual confidence has cracked. The audience isn't focused on her anymore. Every eye is on Jasmine Crockett. The host leans forward carefully, his voice measured. "Congresswoman Crockett," he says, "how would you like to respond now?" It's an opening, a choice to escalate or to ground the conversation. Jasmine doesn't rush. She takes a breath, looks at the host, then at Ivanka, and finally at the audience. Her voice is steady and clear. "You know, Ivanka can say whatever she wants, but let's be honest. We're all Americans. No matter how she tries to frame it tonight, I stand here proudly, demanding the same respect every citizen deserves." Her words echo through the room. The audience, silent until now, begins to murmur in agreement. Some nod, others clap softly, and a few let out quiet cheers. It's not loud, it's genuine. It's the sound of truth connecting. Jasmine continues, her tone gaining strength but never losing composure. "This isn't about me needing to go somewhere else to understand my country. My roots are here. My people are here. Our story is written in the streets and communities that built this nation, and I won't let anyone make me feel like a visitor in my own home." Each sentence lands with precision, directly countering Ivanka's remark without a hint of hostility. Jasmine doesn't need to shout or insult. Her strength lies in her calm clarity and her refusal to shrink. She leans forward slightly, her eyes meeting Ivanka's. This table, this stage, this country, it belongs to all of us. Not because of last names or privilege, but because we are Americans. Every one of us deserves to be treated with respect. The room erupts in applause. Applause fills the studio again, louder this time, breaking the tension that has gripped the room for so long. Some audience members rise from their seats, clapping with genuine conviction. The atmosphere transforms. What once felt heavy now feels charged and alive. Ivanka sits motionless, her composed exterior slipping with every cheer directed toward Jasmine. For once, her signature calm and control seems small compared to the surge of support surrounding her opponent. The host attempts to speak, but the growing noise makes him stop. He looks from Jasmine to Ivanka and immediately understands. This moment no longer belongs to him. It belongs entirely to Jasmine. Jasmine doesn't gloat or smile. She leans back, quiet and composed, her words still resonating in the minds of everyone watching. She has said what needed to be said, and left it to stand on its own strength. That's what makes it powerful. Ivanka's mocking jab was meant to belittle, but Jasmine's response rose far above it, precise, firm, and unforgettable. She didn't just defend herself, she shifted the entire conversation. The cameras sweep across the audience one final time, capturing faces filled with admiration, reflection, and realization. They're no longer witnessing just a political exchange. They're witnessing a statement about belonging, about who has the right to speak, to sit at the table, and to be respected. As the show nears its end, one truth stands clear. Jasmine Crockett didn't just turn the room. She reminded everyone watching, both in the studio and beyond, that this country belongs to all of us, not because of power or legacy, but because we are Americans. Each passing second makes Ivanka's silence feel heavier, her attempts to recover weaker. Jasmine sits calmly, as though nothing remarkable just occurred, but the audience knows better. They've witnessed a shift, a moment where the underdog seized control and refused to let go. With a single sharp question, Jasmine Crockett proved she wasn't just another guest on a talk show. She was the voice the room could no longer ignore. The silence after her retort feels almost unbearable. Cameras zoom in on Ivanka Trump, and for the first time that evening, she's lost her command. Her smile falters, her polished expression cracks, and her eyes dart toward the crowd as if searching for support. But the audience isn't with her anymore. They're with Jasmine. You can feel it in the way they lean forward, whispering quietly among themselves. Ivanka isn't leading the stage anymore. She's struggling to hold it. She forces a small laugh, the kind people give when they're pretending not to be rattled. Straightening her back, she lifts her chin and tries to regain composure. "Look," she begins, her tone cool but brittle. "All I'm saying is maybe Jasmine should go to Africa to really understand things better." The words fall flat. What once sounded sharp now feels like an echo, a weak attempt to redirect attention from the question she never answered. The audience senses it. Murmurs ripple through the room, not in shock, but in disbelief. Some shake their heads. Others cross their arms. The mood has shifted. The authority Ivanka once held is gone, and every word she adds only makes it worse. Jasmine's earlier question, "Is he your father or your husband?" did more than sting. It carried weight. It brought back years of uncomfortable remarks from Donald Trump that people haven't forgotten. They remember him on The View in 2006, joking about dating Ivanka if she weren't his daughter. They recall magazine interviews where he praised her looks in unsettling ways, and radio conversations where others spoke about her inappropriately while he laughed along. Even the lighthearted talk show moments, where he mentioned kissing her as often as possible, only fueled the whispers. Now, all of that lingers unspoken, but undeniable, and Jasmine Crockett is the one who put it back in the spotlight. Ivanka tries to pivot, steering the conversation toward policy and broader topics, anything to regain safe footing. But it's too late. The tension isn't about politics anymore. It's about power, perception, and presence. Each attempt to redirect feels like swimming against an unstoppable current. Jasmine has turned the tide and Ivanka is caught in it. The host clears his throat nervously, trying to restore order. He asks a question about unity and leadership, hoping to smooth over the moment's rough edges. But his voice sounds small under the weight of what's already happened. Everyone knows the shift has occurred. The balance of control has changed. Jasmine Crockett sits serene and steady, while Ivanka Trump, usually the image of composure, is now on the defensive. The audience feels it, sees it. It's a power dynamic unraveling right before their eyes. One incisive remark has undone years of carefully maintained image, It no longer matters how Ivanka answers the next question. What people will remember is this: the instant her control slipped and Jasmine claimed the room. The studio air remains tense, but the energy has changed. Ivanka's confidence has cracked. The audience's attention has moved. All eyes are on Jasmine now. The host senses the moment and leans forward, his tone soft and measured. "Congresswoman Crockett," he says, "how would you like to respond now?" It's an invitation, a chance to escalate or ground the conversation. Jasmine takes her time. She looks at the host, then Ivanka, then the audience. Her voice is steady and clear. "You know, Ivanka can say what she wants, but let's be real. Every one of us here is American. No matter what she tries to frame tonight, I stand here proud, deserving of the same respect every citizen does." Her words echo through the studio. The audience stirs. Some nod, some clap softly, a few even cheer. It isn't loud or chaotic, but it's powerful. Ivanka's earlier remark about going to Africa wasn't a suggestion. It was a dismissal, a way to undermine Jasmine's place and presence. Everyone in the room knows it. This moment isn't about geography. It's about control. It isn't just about words. It's about making Jasmine feel small, as though she doesn't belong at that table. It's about stopping her before she even has the chance to speak. Ivanka's comment hangs in the air like a thick curtain. The audience murmurs uneasily. Some frown. Others exhale sharply, trying to make sense of what just unfolded. The host looks at Ivanka, his smile fading as he struggles between keeping the show moving and acknowledging that a line has been crossed. He opens his mouth to speak, but nothing comes out. Ivanka leans back, calm and collected, as though she hasn't just ignited the tension in the room. Her confidence grows in the silence, believing her words have gone unchallenged. But then the camera shifts to Jasmine Crockett. She doesn't flinch, roll her eyes, or move an inch. She remains still, steady, her gaze fixed on Ivanka, quietly measuring her. And suddenly, the silence that Ivanka thought she owned now belongs to Jasmine. The audience notices. The host notices. For the first time, Ivanka begins to lose her hold on the room. Everyone waits, not for more words from Ivanka, but for Jasmine's response. They know this isn't just political sparring. It's personal. Something that touches identity, belonging, and respect. The tension thickens by the second. Cameras zoom in, capturing Jasmine's calmness and Ivanka's thin smile. The air crackles with anticipation. Ivanka intended to put Jasmine in her place, to make her shrink. Instead, she set the stage for a powerful comeback. Without saying a word yet, Jasmine already holds control. The studio feels frozen. Ivanka's words linger like smoke after a spark. The audience shifts uneasily, waiting for Jasmine to speak. But she doesn't rush or react. She sits perfectly still, eyes steady, expression unreadable. The silence stretches so long that some begin to wonder. Is she shaken? Searching for words, the cameras move closer, catching her calm breathing, her unwavering gaze, the subtle tilt of her head. And then she leans forward slightly. Her voice cuts through the silence, soft, precise. "So tell me, Ivanka, is Donald Trump your father or your husband?" The words land like thunder. The audience gasps together. Some cover their mouths. Others whisper furiously. The host blinks rapidly, unsure whether to interrupt or let it play out. Ivanka's face tightens, her polished smile faltering for just a moment. But Jasmine isn't done. She lets the silence breathe, then adds, "Because this constant shade feels misplaced. This silence isn't the same as before. Now it belongs entirely to Jasmine." The audience understands exactly what she's implying. They remember the interviews, the clips, and the remarks from Donald Trump. The ones that blurred the line between fatherly pride and something far more uncomfortable. Jasmine has pulled that history back into the open, live, in front of everyone, without shouting, without insults, only through one sharp question. Ivanka shifts, forcing a laugh to mask her discomfort, but the crack in her composure is visible. The audience sees it. The cameras see it. Jasmine sees it. In that single moment, the balance of power flips. What was meant to humiliate Jasmine instead elevates her. The host senses it too, his notes forgotten, eyes darting nervously between the two women. The audience can't look away. They lean forward, waiting to see if Jasmine will continue. But she doesn't need to. Her one line has done the work. In less than 14 seconds, she's completely turned the room around. The tension now rests on Ivanka. Her silence feels heavier by the second. Her attempts to recover sound weaker. Jasmine reclines slightly, calm again, as if nothing extraordinary has occurred. But everyone in that studio knows otherwise. They've just witnessed a shift, a moment when the underdog seized the spotlight and refused to give it back. With a single cutting question, Jasmine Crockett proved she wasn't just another guest. She was the voice no one could ignore. The silence after her comeback is nearly unbearable. Cameras focus on Ivanka, and for the first time that night, she isn't in control. Her practiced smile flickers, her composure cracks, her eyes dart toward the audience as if searching for support. But the crowd is no longer with her. They're with Jasmine. You can feel it in the way people lean forward, in the low whispers moving through the crowd. They're no longer watching Ivanka command the stage. They're watching her lose it. She forces a small laugh, the kind meant to hide unease. Straightening her posture, she lifts her chin and tries to reclaim authority. "Look," she says coolly, though her tone sounds fragile. "All I'm saying is maybe Jasmine should visit Africa to really understand things." But the words fall flat. What once sounded sharp now feels hollow, a weak attempt to redirect attention from the question she never answered. The audience reacts, not with shock, but disbelief. Some shake their heads, others cross their arms unimpressed. The energy has shifted completely. Ivanka's earlier confidence is gone. Each new word only deepens the gap between what she says and what people feel. Because Jasmine's question, "Is he your father or your husband?" didn't just strike in that moment. It carried the weight of years of uncomfortable remarks that the public has never forgotten.